Give you a little bit of background about Taylor. He's a successful entrepreneur. He's a real estate broker. He's a business owner. He's a family man. He's an author. He works out. He's accomplished in the gym. There's just so many things he's also a musician. Taylor, thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me, man. I'm flattered that you reached out and wanted to have a conversation, brother.
I saw that picture when you were like skinny and I think young with a baby around your arms. What really triggered that guy holding the baby to just say, you know what, I'm gonna do this? What really kicked off your journey? We gotta start. We gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, for sure, man. So during that time, that picture that you had seen, that was when my daughter was first born. I was at that time I was strung out on drugs very badly, and I'm talking about the type of drugs you usually find in poor white neighborhoods. I won't say it, but you got the idea of it there. Um, it was several months after that I had honestly tried taking my own life. I ate a handful of pills. It was a bad day, a very bad circumstance. Ended up in the hospital, had social workers come in and tell me I would never see my kid again. I lost my job, had to go to the halfway house for a state appointed mandatory stay. And it was a horrible time, man. I mean, that was my rock bottom. Um, I never had a relationship with my father for those first 24 years of my life. But after that, he had offered to let me come and live with him, which was it was a godsend, man. I'm from a very small rural city. He lived in Chattanooga at the time, and it was an opportunity for a new start. And keep in mind, I still had a very poor mindset at this time. The idea of wealth and greatness and happiness were very, man, they were lofty. It's your environment dictates so much about what you believe and what you know the world to be. And I was just in such a horrible place. So when I got to move to Chattanooga, I was exposed to new things. And it was it's an incredible story, man. I had moved there. I was looking for a job. I was going to car washes and pizza places. I mean, that's how short-sighted I was. I didn't think anything outside of, hey, where can I just make some money? And I went to the gym on a free 19-day pass. And so the gentleman greeted me. He was showing me around. This was like an adult Chuck E. Cheese, man. This place was awesome. Like, they could have sold me. I had zero money and they almost got me to sign up. And so the boss comes over and it's like, hey, man, we heard that you don't have any money. It's like, nah, man, listen, I love this place. I would do it today. I just moved here. I just don't have a job. And he said, well, do you want one? I'm like, well, yeah. And excuse me if I choke up with this, man. And Jimmy Dillman, he was the general manager of that gym. And he was the first person that ever believed in me. And he was rough on me too, man. It was tough love. I was a sales guy. I sold personal training. I sold gym memberships. I was production based. What I got paid was based off what I sold. I'm a pretty hungry dude, man. I did pretty damn well those first few months. It took a lot of it was very uncomfortable, a lot of growing, a lot of, that fear of rejection, that fear of looking foolish, overcoming those things. But that gentleman was the first guy to ever believe in me and see something in me that I didn't see for myself. And for 24 years of my life, I had never experienced that. And so to have somebody say, hey, man, you could be something, that's where it all started. And so you take that belief that somebody has in you, coupled with just piss and vinegar of a world that didn't believe in you and circumstances that were so fucking bad, to say, you know what, somebody does believe in me. What if I believed in me too? And from there, it was just a succession of different jobs, different careers, different places. And I always kept leveling up, man. I always kept my eye open for opportunity. I never sold myself short. I would never attach my wagon on a trailer for too long, if that makes sense. I was always looking for the next thing. Where can I go? Where can I grow? Where can I do better? Where am I? Where do I need to be? Where do I want to be? And it was always about following whatever vision that it was. And outside of working with health clubs, I wanted to work for myself. And so started selling real estate, did pretty darn well with that. stopped really caring about having to be a servant to people daily, having to answer the phone, text constantly. Because if I'm going to work for you, man, I'm going to do a great job for you. You call me at 10 o'clock at night. If you're my client, I'm going to answer. You're going to get great service with me. So it came to a point after 10 years of doing that. It's like, man, I want to try something different here. I've got enough tools and enough resources that this time I think I can do a little bit better. So my wife had graduated college as a nurse practitioner. We sold our house. We found opportunity in aesthetics like anti-aging, Botox, lip filler, laser treatments, things of that nature. And as of 2 years ago, we opened that business up and it's flourished and things are awesome. And it's given me the freedom to make music, to write books, to do things like this that really burns inside of me, man. I know I left a lot of shit out there in the in between, but that's just the cliff notes of all of it, man. For me, it was finding an individual that believed in me and dumping that into me to think that something else was possible, something better was possible. And man, I've just carried that along with piss and vinegar of a world that didn't believe in me. And, here I am and I'm planning on keeping going until I die.
This is just incredible. I definitely feel like you downplay it, and I think you're humble about it, but that it's a lot for somebody to be determined, to make up their mind, to and this simple thing that you talk about, believing in yourself. Like, other people see the spark inside you, right? Like, other people see the talent and the gifts that we tend to not notice ourselves, right? And they see it, but like, we can never get ourselves to believe it wholeheartedly. That's a crucial step in somebody's journey, and it's a pivotal point, right? When you say, at this time in this period of my life, X amount of years, I didn't believe in myself. And then this happened and I started believing in myself. And then now, from this to this is what I've been able to do with that. And that's freaking powerful. For those struggling with believing in themselves, do something, you needed to do something different to believe in yourself. Like, what did you do?
Well, I believe that most of those, and I do think that's the number one problem with most young men, is a lack of self-belief, a lack of models, a lack of male leadership. And I think it's only gotten worse over the years. Speaking for myself, like attracts like. If you don't believe in yourself, chances are your environment is conducive to that. Chances are the people that you hang around don't believe in you either. Chances are the life that you live is not conducive to having something better and to being something more than what you are. And so it's a matter of, for me, and I have to do this every day, I have to earn my own self respect. If I'm not training hard, if I'm not getting up, getting after it, doing what I know I need to do, I slowly lose respect for myself. And along with lack of respect comes a lack of belief. So for those that don't believe in themselves, man, you got to change your environment. YouTube is such an awesome resource. If there's one thing in this world outside of just human connection I can be grateful for, it's fucking YouTube, man. I have learned so much past the age of 24 through YouTube. It's just an unlimited resource of knowledge, inspiration, motivation, tactics, anything that you can imagine. And so there were several hard periods in between from the time I was 24 to 38, which I am now. I was listening to Tony Robbins, man. I was listening to Bob Proctor, listening to Napoleon Hill 24/7. I wanted to be surrounded by the strongest, the best, the most inspirational input, useful input that I could find. And not hanging out with a bunch of losers, man, that didn't want anything else better for themselves. Now, I know that may sound harsh. And I wrote about that in the first book that I had written, that you do have to cut the people off in your life that don't see your vision, that hold you back. The truth is, people don't want to see you do better than they're doing. If you are changing, that means they're not going to have that Taylor that they're used to having around. They're not going to have that Ronak that they're used to having around, man. So they're going to do what they can to keep you close, to hold you back. So those that are honestly looking to have self-belief, try to find the mentor, man. If you seek it, you will find it. If you seek it, you will find it. With the way we're connected now with Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, I mean, hell, that's how I met you, man, from an online men's group. If you are seeking out a mentor and you truly want it, you will find it. But if you
Right.
don't want it, man, you ain't going to get it. You know, you can talk all day long, but until you actually try to put yourself in that, and you got to all honestly be willing to suffer with that. If you don't have self belief, chances are your behavior fucking sucks. Chances are you have very poor habits. And so to have self belief, it means you're going to have to change some things that you do in your life. And that's very uncomfortable for a lot of people. That means, hey, maybe you don't get to play video games. Means maybe you shouldn't watch pornography. Maybe that means you don't go out on the weekend. So I think it's a combination of a lot of different things that are meant to cultivate self belief. But for myself, environment was number one.
People have a hard time saying no and laying down the boundaries that they need to, and people tend to confuse this thing called sacrifice versus discipline is whenever you're saying, hey, this is probably not good and it's not aligned with my goals, that's why I don't want it, I don't need it, and I'm not interested in it. Versus sacrifice is you're giving up something for something later, and people frown upon this idea of doing that so much that they rather be in the same shithole that they've been in for the last 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and the time is just ticking, man. Where I see people, from high school still doing the same thing that they were doing today. What did you do whenever people started pulling you back? What did you do? How did you cut off people? How did you say no? I mean, that's the most challenging part, right? Saying no to addiction, saying no to going out, saying no to unhealthy habits in the weekend, saying no to saying, you know what, I can't stay out late, I gotta wake up at 6 in the morning and I gotta do my thing. I'm sorry, I'm not sorry, actually, right? I'm not sorry, and I'm trying to do what I need to do, and I hope and wish you could respect that, and have a good night. Just saying that and laying down that boundary, I think that's the toughest thing to do for a lot of people, because we're trained into becoming people pleasers throughout our growing up, and nurtured and conditioned into, yeah, being a yes man or a yes boy or a yes girl, whatever the
Mhm.
case is. It's just like, what did you say to those moments? Like, where did this willpower, the inner strength, the lion inside you, how did you really dig into that, tap into that, to say, you know what, this ain't freaking right for me?
Well, man, I guess that I was so pissed off. I was so mad about the hand that I was dealt in life and grateful at the same time for the second chance that I had, that this is my life. Like, and people will tell you, people that really still matter to me, I'm hard to get a hold of sometimes. I don't mean to be like that. You asked me to come hang out. I'm not hanging out. I got shit to do. I'm sorry. Like, there's nothing, I don't mean anything bad by that. Like, I may not get back with people if it's not urgent for a couple of days. Some may look at that as a bad character trait, and perhaps it is. But for me, moving where I need to go, it is what it is. I am number one. My dreams are number one. My dreams affect my family. My dreams affect whoever it may be that gets benefit from what it is that I'm doing. Not me playing fucking video games or watching football at B Dubs. I don't give a shit. I don't care. And that attitude honestly just came from what I like to call piss and vinegar. It's like, fuck you. I'm George W. Bush 2002, baby. You're either with me or you're against me. That's the way I look at it. And the people that do love you, that want to see the best for you, they'll cheer you on, man. Like, you got it, dude. I love you. If I don't talk to you in a while, it's all good. Those people that never really cared, who gives a shit, right? Who cares? It is what it is. We have one life to live, man, and I've wasted so much time in my life that remorse scares the absolute hell out of me. And when I reflect back on the things that make me feel alive, whether it's a bodybuilding competition, or growing this business, or getting married to my wife, all these things that matter to me, that give my life purpose, had nothing to do with having a good fucking time. I don't understand why we feel the need to be entertained. What is good about being entertained and distracted? What does it do for us? And we have so much stimulation, man. You have to be hyper focused on what it is that you actually want. And even then, it's fucking hard, man. Dude, I had, plain and simple, I had a vision and I was pissed off, and I was going to do whatever it took to get there. And, I'm still in the trenches right now, man. I mean, life is good, but I have a lot more left to do, man.
I made some terrible mistakes. I lost the girl that loved me the most at a very young age, at like 19, 20. And I sacrificed this girl for all my friends and the partying and the lifestyle and everything else that came with it. A couple of years later, I found out that all of those guys were actually jealous that I had this girl, right? I had something that they never had. Anyways, it led me down to a road to destruction, self-destruction, bad habits, strip clubs, drugs, whatever, right? Anything, everything. And I got in a shit ton of trouble. I got in a shit ton of trouble, and I had to be in jail, sitting there, writing down a plan for life. Like, what am I really gonna do from here on out? I need to figure out a way to, because I was really smart. I was always trying to fit in. And I always spent my time trying to fit in and be cool and be popular and be, around a certain group of people that I needed approval of, whatever the case was. But I didn't focus and channel my energy into the good stuff. The hardest thing is to face that lion that's in front of you and say, you know what, I'm not scared of you, right? I'm not scared of you, and I'm gonna get through here. And you know what? I don't mean to harm you or hurt you, but if you need me to, I'm willing to go to that length, right? And just saying that, we're not gonna be scared from the setbacks, the failures that kept us trapped in this position. I think that was really hard for me. The inner critic and the self-doubt starts creeping in their head, like, oh, Taylor, remember you thought you were gonna do this 3 years ago, but guess what happened? Oh, Taylor, do you remember the time you tried out for the high school football team and blah blah blah? And all of that crap, really, the failures, right? The fear of failure, the self-doubt, the inner critic starts getting louder, trying to pull you back more than the friends that try to pull you back. It's like
Oh
a
yeah.
crab bucket, right? One crab tries to get
Pulls
out
you
of the
down.
crab, and the other
Yeah.
one pulls you back. And it's the same thing with our mind. It's a crab bucket at the end of the day, because one thought's like, hey, I'm gonna set myself free. And all these other thoughts starts rushing in and say, you know what? Hey, you're not going nowhere, buddy. That's like a thing to master, if you want to
Oh,
master your mind. So how would you recommend, like, people, because people don't anticipate this. They say, yeah, I'm gonna go to the gym, and yeah, I'm gonna get away from the friends, and then like 3 months later they're still right there. 3 years later something else happens, and they fail or they stumble, they strike out at something, and they go right back down that pipe hole of saying, well, I'm never gonna be nothing. The self-worth, right? The self-worth, it's like the self-belief kind of disappears in one blow. Like one hit
mm.
that you get on your chin, you got to take it and got to roll with it. But instead, it's like that one thing knocks you out, lays you down. And so how do we get people to be like, okay, in that moment, this is what you need to do?
Well, man, I'm still human, brother. I still have self doubt constantly. Like, I I don't feel super confident in everything that I do, especially that a lot of the things that I do are new to me. That I have no fucking. I've never owned a med spa before, but here I am fucking doing it. I never sold real estate before I did it, but for me, speaking for myself, it goes back to earning my own self respect. We are our bodies, man. Until we stop eating, shitting, pissing, sleeping, fucking, we're still animals, and we hour our bodies. I think there's so much beauty in training hard, in weight training, in cardio, in dieting, cold plunges, heat exposure, saunas, all these things that we do that actually make us a biological fucking creature. If we neglect those things, that's when we feel bad, man. That's when self-doubt, we're so much more susceptible to self-doubt where we're not in peak physical condition, man. And this doesn't mean you have to be a fucking bodybuilder or diet or any of these things. But for me, I could work my ass off and stay out of the gym, eat junk food, and I'm going to hate myself, brother. I am not going to feel good. I am going to be consumed with self doubt. So, speaking for myself, I have to earn my self respect daily. I have to show up for myself daily. If I don't, I revert right back to that crippling self doubt and do not want to make moves because I'm scared. For me, I have always leveraged rage and anger to my benefit. You talk about what happens if you get knocked off the horse? How do you get back on? Man, I've been knocked off that motherfucker so many times, and it's going to happen at least 100 more times before I die.
Call you a
Honestly,
cowboy by now.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure, for sure. You know, giddy up, motherfucker. But I leverage that, and I know the world preaches now that that's toxic, that this form of masculinity, it's destructive. Well, fuck you, it works for me, and I've helped a lot of people, and I've helped a lot of people along the way with this too, man. I get mad. I'm not going to let this goddamn thing define me. This thing will not define me. I'm moving through it, and I'll go on next. And if I get my teeth knocked in, who gives a shit? Because one day I'm going to be dead. And are they going to remember this? Like, what honestly matters when they put my body in the fucking earth? What do I want them to say about me? Not that I was a fucking pussy that I goddamn gave up. No, like, you respect the man. The world respects a man that never gives up. You see these guys that will post, let's say they're a YouTuber or, you know, I can think of 3 or 4 different people that are like this, that have posted every day of their life for years and started with 0 audience, and they still have very little audience, but they do it every fucking day. I want to look at that guy and say, goddamn, good job, motherfucker. Keep going. That is so admirable, man. It's not necessarily about what you accomplish or the results, although they are important. It's resilience. It's persistence. It's moving in spite of. Damn, dude, you don't have to be a winner or a millionaire or even in great shape. If you move through that resistance every day and do the best you can, you have my fucking respect. And so I try to live like that, man.
You got to earn your respect every day. You got to make your bed every day, right? You got to look in the mirror every day, and you got to do things that are manly and you know, worthy every day, you know, in order to get back on that horse, right? In order to stay consistent. That's that self-care. The wellness industry labels it as the self-care routine, and I think most people have a false sense of narrative behind a lot of things, including self-care. And self-care doesn't mean, you know, that you go get your nails painted and get a facial and just relax. And you
Get
know what?
drunk.
I'm gonna go hang
Yeah.
out with the boys for the weekend, and I'm gonna be in my dungeon doing self-care. Like that's not what self-care is. The self-care is like maintaining your dignity, maintaining your self-respect, right? Keeping the promises that you make to yourself. And I think that's like the number one rule to life. It's but just don't break the promises that you make to yourself. And as long as you keep your promises that you make to yourself, your life is going to change drastically. You try it out for 90 days. You try that out for 90 days. For 90 days, anything that you say to yourself, do it, right? And do it. And regardless if it takes you a week, it takes you a day, it takes you a month, whatever the case is, to nail it down, do it. And slowly you're going to get on the horse easier every single time, easier every time. And then it becomes so natural and so consistent that, man, it's in your nature now to just, you know, whatever the situation is, let's roll with it. We tend to fold and hide our tails between our legs in order to get what we want at that time, not knowing what it's going to do to our soul. Well, that's no different than a junkie. That's no different than somebody who doesn't like, that's no different than me acting like a chump. That's no different than a simp. And that's what kills masculinity. That's what kills your self-belief. That's what I call selling your soul. You just can't sell your soul in order to believe in yourself, because you're never going to feel worthy enough to get all of the things that you feel like you deserve in life, because you know you copped out at some point.
First off, I'm a male feminist, so I take offense to. I'm just messing with you, man. I'm messing with you.
You can be a male feminist, but I've heard it all by now.
I'm messing with you. What I will say here, and a lot of what you're saying, I agree with, and it's a lot to unpack there. I believe that most of us lack vision. So if you're willing to do, you said, we'll do those things for 90 days. It's like you take the average dude. It's like, well, fucking why? This sucks. Like, I can just continue living in the hell I'm in. And it's way more uncomfortable than the unknown, or waking up at 5 a.m. You're doing a cold plunge or dieting or making all these phone calls, whatever those hard things may be. Speaking for myself, I had to have a vision to move towards. I had to see what it is that I wanted, man. And then I can move towards that. It's my belief, along with self-doubt, that lack of vision is the biggest culprit that keeps people from following their dreams. They'll see other people do shit, but they'll never think, huh, what if that was me? It's where you have to go, man. I can tell you, when I had nothing, man, this is started real estate. I'd moved back to Kentucky. This was 2013. My daughter and I made a vision board. She was 3 or 4 at the time, and so we went to the office, and I printed up all these pictures where I wanted to get married at some point. I wanted to have a nice house. I wanted to take her to the beach. Had all these different photos of everything, which was, at the time, I didn't have anything. I had nothing when I'd moved back to Kentucky. The thing went up in storage, and a few months ago I went to storage to take a look at everything and gather some stuff, and man, everything that I had put on that vision board had come to pass, man.
That's
Every
amazing.
it truly is. But had I not had a vision for it, where the fuck you going to end up, man? So it is powerful, man.
And this is where masculinity hurts us, because a lot of men will say, well, that's a girly thing to do, write down what I want to do. But I really think it's a powerful tool to have a roadmap to where you're going. Even Lewis and Clark, when they went on an expedition, they had a roadmap before they went on this expedition, right? Like, so we do need a roadmap, as to where we're going. So then that's going to help us make the decisions that we make every day that are consistent with our roadmap. It's like, if you're going from here to California, you're not going to be, taking a break and going to Gulf of Mexico, or, down south, because it's out of your way. The world is designed to distract us, Taylor.
Dude, 100%. It's you have to be hyper vigilant, and that's the thing. Once it becomes stronger than the distraction in front of you or the good time in front of you, dude, you're fucking set for life. Now, someone may have a vision, but they may not see themselves capable of that. So you have to combine faith with desire. I mean, it's Think and Grow Rich, bro. I mean, it's the truth. You combine those two things with hard work and specialized knowledge and persistence, dude. There ain't shit you can't do. You got to see what you want, and you got to believe you can get there. I know that sounds cliche as fuck, and it may be, but that is the basis for all achievement, at least speaking for myself.
Yeah, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, one of the greatest book that I ever picked up, and it definitely changed the way I think in my life.
Life changing.
Yeah, absolutely. And most importantly, it just, it confirmed a lot of the thoughts that I had. It can't be like this. The world shouldn't be like this, right? Like, is it really insane, or am I the only one thinking this? And nobody outside is going to give you that confirmation, but these books and great minds like this. And then you get to notice, like, hey, a lot of successful people thought and felt the same way that I do. Hey, so maybe I'm onto something, and let me try this for 90 days, right? Let me try this for 90 days and see what happens. And that's what I would say to a lot of people who are skeptical of these books, these ideas. Just try for 90 days, give it all you got, and come back to me and say it didn't work.
And it's like I feel like a huge lack of honesty with self is a huge problem with the world too, where those on the outside that don't, let's say they don't have a partner that they love, they don't take care of their bodies, they don't have a job that they love, it becomes this, oh, easy for you to say, oh, you're privileged. Oh, I don't want that. If I did, I would. I am so happy playing my fucking video games and working this job that I actually fucking hate with horrible health. About 10 years down the road, and lying to themselves because they're afraid of what that truth may be. And that truth is scary, man. That truth is really fucking scary. But that's that dragon that we have to face before we can do any of this other shit, man. You have to see things as they are. And I think that's a very difficult thing for both men and women. I feel like that we've been lied to since we first started going to school, man. You play by the rules, you do as you're told, your life's going to fucking suck. Outside of going to college, I did everything that I was told. Get a good job with benefits, work at the factory, and then just fucking die someday. It's like no, I don't want to live. I don't want to do that. And when I started saying no to everything that I was told I should do and started listening to myself, my life got so much better, man. And I have some pretty off the wall opinions and practices with a lot of different things that people may or may not agree with. But guess what, man? It's worked for me, and I've not hurt anybody else. Well, not too many people in the process, not intentionally anyway. So, yeah, man, I think there has to come a level of honesty with self and just seeing things as they are and accepting it and not crying foul that the world's not fair, that these things aren't fair, it's not gonna do you any fucking good, man. Like, show me an example of fairness in nature. Like, it doesn't exist. Nature is just, but nature is not fair. It just is what it is, brother. And the quicker we can accept it and play the hand that we were dealt and be grateful for that hand, the better life's going to be, and the quicker it's going to get better.
What would you say is like the biggest lesson life has taught you so far that you're willing to share with the world?
Without a vision, we perish, my friend. Above everything else, you have to have a vision of what it is that you want. If you know that your life sucks right now and that you're not happy, what would it look like if you were to be happy? And then do what the fuck you got to do to get there. And if you need help, join a Facebook men's group. I'll probably be on there helping you. So there you go.